What's going on, guys? Nasher here, and today I'm bringing you a chill NHL 17 beta commentary. So I'm just going to be going over some of my thoughts on the NHL 17 beta now that it has officially come to a close. So for me specifically, you guys probably have noticed I only really play ESHL. I'm not much of a HUT guy or a versus guy, so I'm going to be just focusing on the ESHL improvements and gameplay changes that they've made for this year. And just in general, I haven't played NHL since NHL 14, so it's been quite a while. I'll just go over some of my experience on hopping from NHL 14 to NHL 17 and just how different it feels. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. The first thing that I want to mention is just how fun this game is regardless of who you're playing with. So in this game that you're watching in the background, we've got Tactics HD with us, we've got the Clapperton, Tactics just scored that goal there, we got Smelly Kick Button Net, and then we just picked up random subscribers off of Twitter to join us as defense. And we just kind of did that throughout the week, got to know a variety of different people, and it seemed like pretty much everyone that we played with was really cool, and we had a good time playing with them. So that's something that I want to continue doing into NHL 17. I feel like you can really get a good core group of guys and just really dominate this game, especially if your teamwork is good. I feel like ESHL has the highest skill gap in NHL 17 game modes. For example, if you're playing Hockey Ultimate Team or if you're playing Versus, you're usually going to be playing against a computer goalie, which means that some shots are going to go in that probably shouldn't, and some shots that should go in probably won't go in. So that causes some issues. I mean, I'm not going to say that ESHL is perfect in that regard, but since every player on the ice is controlled by a user or by a human, it makes for some really exciting gameplay, and if they score a goal, it's usually someone on the ice's fault, which I think makes it pretty fun. Of course, as I say that, I score an absolute garbage goal, and it bounces off my skate, goes into the net, they end up reviewing it, and they count it, but you guys get my point. Alright, so jumping from NHL 14 to NHL 17 was a pretty big change for me. I remember back in NHL 14 and ESHL, you used to have to grind to get Legend 3 status and then have enough attributes to make your player good and to be on the same level as everybody else. So it really was just kind of a grind fest for those first few weeks until you get that Legend 3 and then you can finally play and everyone's on an even playing field. So I like how in NHL 16, I believe they added it. I wasn't a part of it then. They added in those classes, which they have in NHL 17 too, and that really balances everything out. You can kind of vary the classes throughout your team so that you have a good variety and that everyone can kind of balance off of each other in terms of gameplay. So if I'm a dangler, then maybe we should have somebody else be a power forward. Maybe we should have someone else be a big hitter so that we can have a little bit of everything on our club. From what it looks like, I think EA did a pretty good job of balancing all the classes. I tried out a majority of them, I'd say, over the last week, and there's not specifically one that stuck out to me as being better than the others. Like, for example, in NHL 14, I think the grinder was always the best class to use just because of the speed and how you could get up a lot of your attributes with that. But in this game, I think they're pretty even. I've been using Dangler a lot just because I feel like that's kind of who I am, and it wouldn't be right if I used any other class. And I've been enjoying Dangler a lot, but I switched over to some of the other classes and had some fun with those. So yeah, there's a really good balance, and I feel like EA really hit the mark with those classes. The actual gameplay over the years has changed a ton. I don't know if you guys can notice it when you're playing year by year, but for me, jumping from NHL 14 to NHL 17, I feel like this is an entirely new game. The biggest change, I'd say, maybe it's just because this is what I do, but the stick handling and the dangles are toned down a lot, and it makes a more realistic experience. A lot of the moves in NHL 14, although they were fun, weren't necessarily realistic, like the one-hand windmill or the behind-the-back one-hand or stuff like that. Usually you're going to get decked whenever you try any of that stuff, and it worked pretty well in NHL 14. So I'm glad that they've toned it down a little bit, and it really does feel more like a hockey simulation when we're playing. Especially during ESHL, it feels like it's best to set up a cycle, to get good shots from the point, to do stuff that you normally do in hockey. And I feel like EA has replicated that pretty well. Would I like to see more dangles in this game so that I can get more montage clips and stuff like that? Of course, but the game's not all about me, and at its current state, it at least feels pretty realistic, and I think they've done a pretty good job with it. Overall, I'd say I picked a pretty good year to get back into the NHL series with all these additions that they've made to ESHL, with the player customization and the jersey customization, logos, even your arena that you can make for yourself. I think that's pretty sick, and it's not a 100% necessary feature, but it's a good little touch, and I think we'll have some fun building up a team, an arena, and unlocking stuff with Montage Moment. The last thing that I want to say as this game comes to a close is, man, I'm just excited to be back. I feel like ESHL was kind of lacking on YouTube last year. I looked up some NHL 16 ESHL videos, and a lot of them don't even have 2,000 views. So I'm hoping to change that with NHL 17. We're hoping to get the crew back together, and we're going to put ESHL back on the map. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. It's been real, and I will see you guys later. Peace.
Oh.
Obi, please.
Yes! Yes! Wow. That was sick. I highly debated passing that to you because, I mean, A of all, you were on the goal line. B of all, you would have never passed that to me.